Okay, remember in the last video I told you that we were going to be doing graphing of systems of inequalities. So you're given, just like before when we did systems, you're trying to find the x and y that work in both equations. So that's what we got to do here. We got to see which solutions, again, there's infinite many of them. We got to see which ones work in these two equations. So, luckily, these ones are already have y by itself. They're in slope-intercept form. So we can just go ahead and graph them. So the first one, I'm going to start off at 2. And then the slope is 1. So I go up 1, over 1. And am I going to use a solid or a dotted line? I'm using a solid line. So again, remember, extend it. Now this first one I'm going to do a little bit different. Okay, so I am going to be shading which side? It's greater than, so if it's greater, we shade above the line. So I'm going to shade above the line. Now I'm just going to draw these like lines, and you'll see why in a little bit, why I'm doing this. Okay, now I'm going to graph this one. So I start off at 7. So we're at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's my point there. Okay. And then my slope is -1. So I go down 1 to the right 1. Then I have to see what kind of line am I going to draw. And it's less than, or it's greater than or equal to. So I draw a solid line. And again, notice how I go all the way through. Now, it's greater than, so am I shading above or below the line? Greater, above. So I'm going to do those lines again. See, like this. Okay, now the part that you're going to have to do is you only want the part shaded where they overlap. So if you notice, my lines are crisscrossing because I have the blue lines and the black lines in this little area up here. So that's what I'm going to darken in. Okay? I'm going to darken in that. So this is the final shade. Okay? Everybody got that? Okay. We're going to move on to this one. So y is less than or equal to -2 minus 2. Again, start off at -2. And then I'm going to go down 2 to the right 1. And I'm going to use a solid line because it's the or equals. Okay. So for this one, it's less than or equal to, so I need to shade less than, which is below. So I'm going to just draw, I'm going to kind of do this. We'll do this one. Okay, so I'm shading below the line. See how I just drew arrows? Okay, now let's do the other line. So I'm going to start off at 6, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then from there, I'm going to go up 1, over 1, because my slope is 1. Now this time I need to use a dotted line, because there's no or equals. So I'm going to do my dotted line. Okay. And it says is greater than. So I'm going to shade above the line. So like this. Okay. So I shade above the line. Now I have to see where they overlapping. So right in this area here. Are both of them in there? No. What about in this area here? No, because none of the arrows are pointing in this direction. What about down here? Well, the black line is, but is the blue line? No. So let's try this area. The black line's arrows facing in this area, and so is the blue. So that I can darken in. And that's my final answer. I have to be able to tell what your final answer is. So you have to darken in the area that, the solutions that work for both graphs. Okay? So you can do it either way. Okay? I find this one less messy and it's easier. But if you prefer to do this way, that's fine too. But remember, darken in the area that you need. Okay? So we're going to do this last one right here. So I'm going to start off at 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I have to go up 2 over 1. And then I'm going to use a dotted line. And notice how my lines go all the way through. I'm not just drawing tiny little lines, because then you're not going to be able to figure out the graphing, or the shading, I should say. This one is less than, so I'm shading below, because it's less than, so I shade below the line. Okay, now let's do the other one. So I'm starting off at the same point right there, but I need to go down 1 into the right 1. Now this time I'm going to use a solid line. Okay, so greater than, am I shading above or below? It's greater than, so I'm going to shade above. Okay, now I have to see where do they have both of the arrows. So like right here, ooh, it only has the blue arrow in that area. Here it's got the black arrow and the blue arrow. So all of these, I filled it in with blue. It doesn't matter as long as you darken in. So all the points in that area work in both of these equations. The points in this area don't. They only work in the bottom one. Okay, that's how you can kind of tell. If you want to check, do a test point in each one of these little areas to see if it's true or false. And you have to check both equations if you want to do that. Okay? And don't forget to do your homework.